Hello and welcome to a new video on the Trinity from the Shameless Pitchman for Jesus Christ. Lots of people think that the Trinity is something that's a mystery and because it deals directly with God's person. But we don't think so here at Shameless Pitchman. We think that it's easily explained and that even babes can understand it. I believe that creation was created itself, that explains the Trinity, and that's what we'll get into. It's a very short, uncomplicated explanation. But first I would like to give a definition of the Trinity. As some false religious groups are fond of saying, the word Trinity is not found in the Bible. And this is true. The Bible was written in Hebrew and Greek, and the word Trinity is from Latin, which was later. Even though the term Trinity is not found in the Bible, the concept is. The term Trinity is used to refer to all that the Bible describes about the nature of God's person. A short definition of God as a Trinity could be worded as, although there is only one God, that God consists of three distinct persons who are separated in personality, but inseparable in being or substance. These three persons are the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit. God made a visual world of objects. All objects have three visible spatial aspects to them. These three aspects are height, width, and depth. At any point on the surface of an object, that point in its physical mass makes up part of the object's height, width, and depth at the same time. Only when one measures one of the aspects of an object does that point in its mass only represent that particular aspect. For instance, if we measure at that particular point to determine the object's width, then the point is emphasized as width, but it still makes up part of the height and depth of the object. The object has three distinct aspects to it. It's visual mass, but it's one single object. Likewise, God is one single entity or object that consists of three aspects or persons. The Father, Son, and Holy Spirit. All three persons make up the one and only God. Each divine person can be distinguished from the other two. Each person can be emphasized over the other two for purposes of revelation. But at the same time, all three persons cannot be separated in substance. They are one thing, one object, one God. Each point in the divine God makes up part of all three persons of God. Jesus said in John chapter 14, verse 9, Jesus said to him, "Have I been so long with you, and yet you have not come to know me, Philip? He who has seen me has seen the Father. How can you say, 'Show us the Father'?" Now we can understand why Jesus said this. Because Jesus the Son is inseparable from the Father, and they are the same God. They are identical. Jesus the Son is God with the Son emphasized. Like the cube or object we talked about earlier, that each point in its mass represents all three-dimensional aspects at once, but each aspect can be emphasized when measured. Jesus went on to say in John chapter 14, verses 10 to 11, "Do you not believe that I am in the Father, and the Father is in me? The words that I say to you, I do not speak on my own initiative, but the Father abiding in me does his works. Believe me that I am in the Father, and the Father is in me." Jesus was talking about the very thing that we have seen in the object or the cube illustration. That we could understand Jesus simply by saying, if he had said, the Father is in me, that the Father is controlling him or inspiring him, but that's not all that Jesus said. Jesus said not only was the Father in him, but that he was in the Father, which makes it an equal situation. So it's the same as in the illustration of the cube, that width is in height and depth is in height and width, and so forth, that you can't separate them really. They're all part of the object, but each one is a different, complete, distinct aspect of the cube. In the same way it is with God, that God has three aspects: the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit. You can't separate them fully from one another, but they're distinct, and you can measure, or one can be revealed over the other two. They're in each other. You can't have one without the other two, even though each one is distinct. And in this way, God created everything in creation as a Trinity. He made everything there is to be a Trinity in order to help us understand his nature. The only difference is that created objects are finite in presence, like the cube in the illustration. God, on the other hand, is infinite. All you have to do to make the cube a perfect model for the Trinity is to extend the cube's edges forever into infinity.